morning, everybody. Welcome to another Stand Together. Good morning. How are you? Jump on and give me a good morning. It is 8 a.m. and it is a Wednesday if you're watching this live. If you're watching this on the replay, though, where were you 8 a.m.? Where were you at 8 a.m.? What is happening, everybody? Hope you're doing real well. Hey, I conducted a business meeting in the car to another car in a car park. It felt like a drug deal. Has anyone else had to do things like that? Having a meeting with somebody in a car from 1.5, from a car length in between, just to catch up, just to quickly check in on something. How fun is that? Oh my goodness. It actually wasn't even planned. I was driving and saw a business partner who pulled over and had a chat, and we must have felt like we're doing some drug exchange here in a car park. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Jump on, give me a good morning. Hope you're doing really well. Jump in, say hi in the comments, give me a good morning. Hope you guys are having the most amazing morning. Hey, by the way, hey, if anyone has any kids, on tips, can I give you a tip? I'm not giving you a parenting tip, by the way, because I think that most of those parenting tips are out the window, because if you're in Melbourne, you're been in lockdown for 355,000 days and your kids are just running up the wall right now. But I'm going to give you a tip if you are in lockdown, you have children, right? We found this hack last time. Because supermarkets are all closed down, right? Car parks and supermarkets and Westfields and stuff are all closed down. And so the kids wanted to go for a bike ride, and so we took them a couple of times to take them to the shopping centre car parks. They're all closed down, and they get to ride all around the car parks. They love it. There's a huge amount of space. They get to run around the car parks. No cars are there, and ride their bikes everywhere. So tip for parents, or just if you're just single and you're like, I just need to run and push a trolley around, this is the time to go and this is the time to go and do that. This is the time. Jump on. Say, who's on today? Who's on today? Oh my gosh, everyone's on today. Good morning. How you all going? Hello. Sarah, Diabeta, Alicia, Yasmin, Chris. Good morning, Mia, Peter. Naomi, good to see you. So many great people. Good morning, Nick, Pina. Good morning to everybody. Hope you're all doing super well. Yeah, COVID life, hey? COVID life. With the end in sight, hopefully. We're moving forward with this, right? Moving forward. Hey, so listen. Hey, thanks for hanging out last 18, 19, 20. I think it's day 20? Someone let me know. This is day 20? Wow. If this is day 20, that's a couple of months, a couple of weeks right there. I'm hanging at the beach at the moment. I'm just about to I've got another, heading back now, because restriction life, how that works, right? But I'm just hanging at the beach at the moment, and I was just telling everybody, if you just joined, that I had a chat with a business partner from car to car, and it felt like we're doing some kind of dodgy meeting over here. But hey, that's what you have to do in COVID, isn't it? Hey, so listen, I wanted to share something with you today that it reminded me a little while back. Because look, life is a bit full on at the moment, I know, for a lot of people, and it's and I know for some that are coming out the other side of it, that are going through the thick of COVID, or that are actually growing and scaling really well. Because look, it's a tale of two worlds at the moment. There's some people that are doing really well in scaling and growing, and I know we know, because some of our businesses are doing that. And I've got a bunch of my students that are also doing that. Actually, a good chunk of them, not only a couple, but a big chunk, probably even the majority, really. But there's also the other percentage of people that are struggling, that are in lockdown, that are maybe the business is okay, but you're struggling personally and you're challenged through it. So I know it's a bit of a fuck time right now. I know it's a bit challenging right now. I get that, and life's thrown a bit of a curveball. I remember I look back at my notes. And when I was talking to my team at the very beginning, all of my initial team looks over a bunch of my companies, and then I was talking to some of the companies and the teams, and you look back and I think that no one knew how long it was going to take. I didn't know how long it was going to take for this to be up and running, and just for this whole COVID thing. But I don't think anyone expected it to be a year and a half. I don't think anyone expected for Melbourne to be in lockdown for 210 days, or for Sydney to be having 800 cases when we were kind of on the other side of it, and then Delta started to rear its head, or New Zealand to suddenly now have 42 cases. And, right now I know it's a bit full on for everybody, whether you are affected by this new business or not, whether personally right now you're affected by this or you're not. The reality is that everyone's world's just being shaken a bit. You remember those snow globes? It's like a snow globe, like this. And so for some people it's still happening. For some people it's stopped happening, but it's got to settle, right? And it reminded me of something this morning. I was in Byron Bay a couple of years back, and we're on holidays there. And we don't remember when you could travel. Does anyone remember that? When you could go on holidays? Oh my gosh, wasn't that fun? And I was up there, and I was fortunate enough to kind of by chance through a couple of people is have breakfast with Sergey Brin. Now, if you don't know who Sergey Brin is, that's okay. He is the co-founder of Google, so kind of a big deal. He's worth about $100 billion, probably about $150 billion actually. He's also an investor in SpaceX. He and Larry own about 10% of SpaceX. They got in a few years before me, a few years actually before me. They got in towards the beginning of it, and so by chance I got to have breakfast. And what was really interesting about this, right? And I hadn't had a chance. I hadn't met him before, and my first question to him was, "What are you doing in Byron Bay, right, on the other side of the world?" This is before COVID, by the way. This is about 6 months before COVID hit Australia, that is. Probably less, maybe 4 months before COVID hit Australia. And I'm like, what are you doing here in Byron Bay? You could buy the entire of Byron Bay. You're worth $150 billion, right? And it was really interesting, the conversation, but also not just the conversation, but just observing the dynamics of his life and his family. Because he was there with his family. They're all there on holidays and hanging out. But what was really interesting is that you got a guy that you would go, okay, 150 billion, founder of Google, one of the most successful entrepreneurs to ever walk the planet. And this is before COVID, by the way. And he's just worth more since COVID, right? But I'm looking at this guy. You think that there's a certain point or a certain level that people get to where everything's just kind of kosher, like it's just easy. It's not. You can kind of outsource that, or you can solve that because you're worth a ton of money. But what was really interesting is, whilst having a chat to him, and he was talking about, he's actually about to just leaving the board actually of Alphabet. So Alphabet sits over top of Google and a whole bunch of their other businesses, and he sits on the board of that. And he was just leaving that to go and focus on a whole bunch of other things that he's doing within the businesses, and he's really focusing on the AI side of it, all these things that are happening, because Google are a lot more than a search engine, right? Search engine. And so it was to talk about leaving that. But what was really interesting, right? You'd go, okay, $150 billion, the guy's kind of got could do whatever, literally he could buy anything he wanted 45,000 times over, right? There's that level of wealth, yet even in that moment, what I thought was really interesting is he, like every other human on the planet, was still dealing with the challenges that life throws at you. And you might be like, well, what challenges can you have? Well, while he's trying to talk, he's got one of his little ones, running around, she's trying to chase this kid around, right? Running around trying to bring the kid back and come over here and, oh, don't touch that, and, oh, don't put that in your mouth. And like being a normal parent, being a normal dad, running around trying to stop his children from going and harassing other diners, which is actually how we started talking. And it was really interesting because he's got this, but then on the other side, I look over and I look at all the people that he's having breakfast with, and he's got his family with him. But sitting there is his wife and their newborn, right? Made newborn. I mean, like, we're talking a year old, so not really a newborn, but, under a year old, running around, sitting next to some older kids, which are also his kids, sitting next to his ex-wife. So he's on holidays with his ex-wife, his children with her, his current wife, and his child with her. And I'm sitting there going, wow, like, how do talk about having to juggle and deal with stuff in life. Yep. I looked at this and look, his ex-wife, an incredibly powerful woman, a businesswoman in her own right, worth a couple $100 million, doing some incredible things herself, right? And what I looked at it with this, I went, they're making it work. They're making it work. I mean, they didn't get married to divorce. They didn't get married. They didn't get married to think it's going to end up on holidays with, with his current wife, his current child, they're all his current children, right? But his child with his current wife, his other children, and they're making this thing work. The guy's $150 billion worth, one of the most successful people on the planet, chasing kids around, having this family that they're trying to make work, and dealing with the same kind of challenges that a lot of other people deal with. You might say, I don't have any other challenges. The guy's worth $150 billion. But he still had challenges. He still had things that he had to, doesn't matter how much money you have, you still have to deal with the dynamics and the challenges of life. You still have to deal with the dynamics and challenges of everything else that gets thrown at you. Doesn't matter where you are or what you build to. And it's really interesting because I looked at that, and although I've been around a lot of people that have had challenging circumstances and have made something successful of themselves, I looked at that and I said, you see, it doesn't matter how successful you get. It doesn't matter what happened in your life. It's how you're handling it. It's how you're handling it. It's how you're making that work. Like, I look at that and I think to myself, I think, if I had another family, right, I wonder if that would, like, I'm sitting there going, how does that even work, right? But they're making it work. They weren't begrudgingly making it work. They were making it work, and the wives are very, very different. The ex and the current are very, very different. And the kids, and everyone's just making this thing work. And it was really an interesting dynamic because they didn't have to make it work. She's successful in her own right. She doesn't need to be there, even before she met him, his first wife. But they're just making a challenging situation work. And it isn't anything about how much money you have. It isn't anything about how many, people you can take on holidays to take care of your kids. It was making it work. And I think for me, that was what I wanted to share with you this morning, is because right now I know that it's challenging for a lot of people. Some of you are scaling and you're trying to grow your business. Some of you are marketing like crazy and you're trying to work out what angle do I go down? Do I do this sort of strategy here? Do I do that strategy here? Some of you are growing like crazy. Some of you are dealing with a ton of communication has to get out to clients, or you're dealing with growing your business and dealing with, a ton of leads and doing it properly without fucking it up. Some of you are dealing with, delivering, and making sure that you tick all the boxes on what you're promising. And look, everyone's the same. Everyone goes through these challenges. Everyone has this. No one's immune to that, right? All of us do. Even me as an empire owner, there's still things, you've still got businesses that are doing well. You've got businesses that are struggling. You've got things that are going right, things that are going wrong. You got all that sort of stuff that happens in a daily life. It's not about what's happening. It's how we're dealing with that on a daily basis. And looking at Sergey and seeing how he is and how he was with his family. For me, it was this reminder that it doesn't matter how you can't really get much more successful than him, right? $150 billion. I mean, you can name probably 10, 15 people in the world that have more money than him. So you really can't get much bigger than what he has done and what he's achieved. And also, his product's used by literally every person on the planet, in Google. But you still look at that and you think you're still making it work. You're still making it work. And so what I want to say to you today is that I know that it can be challenging. And And I know that there's a lot of stuff going on. And I know that you've got circumstances you might think are unique to you, that you have to homeschool children, or you have to deal with a issue with a team member that no one else has had to deal with, or you have to, you have to deal with juggling personal debt and business debt, or you have to deal, whatever you think is really true and unique to you and that's challenging for you. I just want to say to you today that it doesn't matter where you get to in life. It matters how you're dealing with it and how you choose to deal with it on a daily basis. It doesn't matter where you're at, because if I look at him and I'm like, wow, you have achieved so much in your world professionally, and you still got to make it some sacrifices and make it work in your personal life. To me, I look at that and go, everyone on their growth, wherever they're going, you're going to have to go through these challenges, and you're going to have to do it with humility. You're going to have to do it with strength. I mean, think about it. Think about those people coming together, and I don't know the dynamics of the relationship, I can only observe, but coming together, it's like, we're going to make it work because our kids kind of want to go on holidays together, and we're going to do it for it. We're going to stick together for a family. The humility in that, some people just, want to throw their toys out of the pram, get annoyed and upset at the drop of a hat, or just lose their cool for no reason. And that's not what life needs to be. Life needs to be something that you can control yourself, and you can focus on the things that need to be done, and deliver for those that need it, right? Deliver for those that need it. Understand something. This life goes quick, and what I liked about that, when I looked at it, I'm like, they're just making it work. They're realizing that, you've got to find ways to make relationships work. You've got to find ways to make partnerships work. You've got to find ways to work better with the people that are in your circle and in your world. You've got to think about the forgiveness. Oh my gosh, think about the forgiveness that they had to have to say, all right, it's not working out for us, but, we're still going to make this work within our family. Think about the forgiveness that they have to have. Do you live with forgiveness? Are you the person that's, getting wound up, waking up, pissed off and angry about things? Or are you someone that's saying, you know what? C'est la vie. Let's move on. Let's make it work. Let's not let this consume us with negativity. Or are you a person that is allowing yourself to fall down a spiral of things that are not serving you? And that is something that I'm seeing from a lot of people. People are acting out. People are going to levels of instability, and they're seeing everything as a challenge. They're seeing everything as DEFCON 1, and they're not dealing with things in a clear, focused, humble way, and saying, fuck, I just need to be able to get on with this and make this happen. So what I want to say to you is this: please don't look for a moment in your life, maybe even monetarily, where everything's going to be okay and you're never going to have to deal with challenges or setbacks or times like this. I think what you need to do rather than that is you need to think and say, okay, I know I'm going to have things like this come up. I'm going to have challenges come up. I'm going to have dynamics work over my life. I'm going to have to try and make things work in my business, in my personal life. But the question really is will I allow myself to be somebody that has the strength, the humility? Can I put my ego aside? Imagine the ego that had to go aside for that, and make it work, because I know that life's short to hold grudges, to be pissed off, to get annoyed. It's just too short for that, right? It's too short to do that, and you got to make it work. Whatever circumstances you have, because I promise you, the things that you think are a problem in your life or in your business are a blessing to many other people who will take that on. They'll say, hey, give, any day, hand that to me, any day. And also looking in the mirror as well. I think we don't do that enough. We don't look and say, well, now what can I do here? Like, where have I fucked up here? I think that we're very quick to lay blame. I think about it. Those two people, you could have had, the ex could have said, again, I don't know dynamics because, I didn't unpack that with them. I talked about business, right? Think about the dynamics for that. And I go, wow, imagine the forgiveness that they would have had to say, you know what, let's just make this work. That to me blows me away, because that, and I'm not saying that there was, ill towards why they broke up, but whatever. I mean, most people would find that really difficult to make that happen. And for that to work, That to me blows me away, because it's not about getting to a point where you're successful, everything's great, everything's working, everything's in its place. It's about dealing with what you have. And in COVID, whether you are locked down right now and you have to homeschool for the 4,000th day and you've got 17 kids and you've got 17 deadlines at the same time. I know. Whether you are the complete opposite and everything's scaling and growing, you've got more leads than you know how to deal with, and you're trying to keep up with everything, and you're trying to just keep calm and not lose your shit at everybody that's in your business or in your life, whatever it may be. You can control that. And let me tell you something, you have to learn how to control you regardless of what's happening in your life, because that's what you get a chance to control. That's what you have a say over, how you are and the people that you are around, how you treat the people that you are around, and how you make it work. And you need to be that person that comes from that space, because I think when you do, you're going to see a massive amount of things change in your world when you realize it's not about trying to get to something. It's about experiencing the life that you have by design. That's what it's about. Your LBDX, your life by design as an experience. I call it your LBDX. Your life by design as an experience. You have to choose the way you're going to live that life. You've got to choose the way you make that thing work and how you make that thing blend. So whether it is business, whether it is life, whether it is personal, this is about knowing that whatever it is, whatever the challenges are right now, wherever you're at right now, that it doesn't get to a point where it gets easier. It doesn't get to a point where you've kind of nailed it and that's it, it's perfect. You've got to get really good at making it work and at dropping the ego at times, because I know that must have to happen for Sergey in that relationship, for that dynamic to work, right? And everybody, not just him, but, the wives and even the kids and the whole works, just to make that work and say, you know what, we're going to still be a family. And I watched how they're hanging out. Like they were, the kids are hanging out with the newborn and, they were making it work. And I take my hat off and I say, well, they're making it work, because that's something that doesn't matter how much money you have, that can't fix it. You can't fix that. You can't make that happen. You have to, as a human, make that happen. It can't be something that money can fix. And if somebody that's the 10th richest person in the world can show us that lesson, then I think that's something we can all learn from that as well. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, because this is about making it work. And this is about you taking a deep breath in and out and taking care of the things that you can take care of, and making things work in your life, and moving with the flow as opposed to moving against those things. Move with it in life and say, let's make this thing work and make this thing happen. And even if it's a challenging circumstance, what they know is their family dynamic was important, so they're going to do what they had to do to make that thing work. That's what's important to understand. Does that make sense to you all? Hugely interesting experience. I got question time before I need to get out of this car park, because I'm sure people are going to go, why is that guy on his phone in the car park? What's he doing? Is he waiting for another deal? If you missed the start of this, you're like, what is he talking about? You'll go back to the start and see what I'm talking about. Hey, any questions? You got any questions for me? Go ahead. I can take maybe one or two before I need to continue on my journey for today as well. Any questions from you amazing humans that are out there? Hey, let's have a look at some. While you're typing those questions in, go ahead and type it in now. Let's have a look. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, you are welcome. Absolutely obligation. Yeah, making it work, huh? Making it work. Totally, Nick. Dodgy guy in the Bentley. Totally. Exactly what they're thinking. I love that. All right, a couple of questions. Go with them in there. What questions do you have? Absolutely. Yeah, Lisa. I agree with you. Questions. What do we got here? How do you start building your tribe community? Yeah, great question. I think that if I give you some advice around people building their community, I think people start too wide. I think they try and appease everybody. I think that if I give you advice on that, I would be work out what you stand for, work out what's really true for you that you want to be about, and then I think from there start start working out a really good content plan of how you want to be able to start sharing that. And then you'll start to attract the kind of tribe that want to be around you and hang out with you. And I think then you need to then put some proper marketing into it, because I see people out there that are either individuals that have a personal brand or businesses, and they're the best kept secret. Because if you're not advertising, no, people have no idea who you are. And even if you do a little bit of advertising, you're spending $100 a day on advertising, $50 a day, $200 a day on advertising. I mean, you can start to reach 30,000 people, uniquely a month. You can start to generate a ton of leads. I mean, all of that stuff is important. So I think that once you start to work out where you're at, every brand needs to then start to advertise. Every brand needs to advertise and have a marketing plan, and a consistent marketing plan. I see too many people go out there and they do a campaign to sell their product online, and they stop after a month. And then they do go and get leads, and they stop after a month or two. And it doesn't work that way. I've advertised in all of my companies, and even when it's challenging, I've had times where I've had businesses that are challenged in terms of their revenue, because they might be a startup, and I'm still saying, okay, I need to make sure that we're still focusing on our marketing and growth, because it doesn't matter how good you are. Stop looking for this viral video to take charge, and the millions across the world do that. If you've not worked it out so far, the only viral videos that take charge around the world are kittens and people doing stupid dances on TikTok. That's it. Right? That's it, right? There's not very many that get these other massive. And if you're looking for that, then just produce content that's aligned with who you are and who you want to be. Then get a great marketing plan around it, and then be consistent around your marketing. Be consistent. I've spent more money in the COVID time in marketing spend than that I have even before. And there's some businesses that have been struggling with some of their ROIs, but I've still done it because it's that consistency in the market. You can't go out there and you might go, bang, here's who I am, or here's my business, or here's my brand, or here's whatever, here's what I stand for. And then, okay, now I'm going to go away for the next 6 months. It doesn't work that way. You've got to have some consistency, and having that is an important part. But I've seen some incredible things from people that connect the dots like that. I've seen some incredible results. And I think that people, and again, you got to be patient. I think people have a tendency to be very, very impatient when it comes to trying to grow their tribe, and when it comes to generating leads as well. I think that people can get really, really impatient, because it's a different thing. I mean, if you've never really generated leads before, trying to build your tribe outside of your own community, then it's different. If you've got like here, I'm here, and I'm just parked in the sea bars that are over here in Brighton. If there's a gym over there, right? If you've got people that walk in and say, hey, can I have a bit of a look around? That's a really strong lead, right? Whereas you generate a lead for that health club to say, hey, come in for a 7-day pass, or hey, do you know who we are, or whatever. I mean, the connection to speak to those people, the quality of those leads is going to drop massively as soon as you go and you start advertising online. But what a lot of people do when they start to grow their tribe or try to grow their business is they don't counter for that. So as soon as they start to do any form of advertising like that, they start to get leads, or they start to grow their tribe, and they're not used to the same quality. And then suddenly they get perturbed and they go, well, I don't want to grow my tribe anymore because they don't understand me, or that person's not buying like they would if they just walked into my gym. So I think the reason I say that to you is because if you're going to go and try and build your tribe, you've got to, number one, work out what you're going to be sharing, what it's all about. Number two, you've got to put a plan together. And number three, you've got to be consistent on it, because you've got to scale, and no business can scale without marketing. No business can scale without marketing. And once you connect marketing into it, you've got to understand that you've got to change your business up, because the approach is different from somebody walking into a store to buy something, or walking in to have a look around a gym membership, or rocking up to the restaurant to eat dinner. Those leads are very different to the ones that you're going to be generating online. And that's one of the big differences as well, I think, when it comes to growing your business and growing your tribe and your community as well. So you've got to know what you stand for. You've got to put a plan together, a marketing and content plan, but then you've got to be consistent. And then finally, like I've been talking about, you've got to change your approach depending on where those leads are coming from, because when you start to scale, it's not going to be the same. Listen, when Steve Jobs was alive, he took every Apple appointment to sell them a laptop. How many laptops would he sell? Every fucking person a laptop. But when the whole thing changed, people had to walk into a store to go see someone who's 55 people away from a Steve Jobs, levels away, but millions of people away from him, the ratio dropped. And they had to work on that, because that's how it works when you start to scale your business and you start to scale your brand as well. I hope that helps. While we're doing deals, yeah, we can do more deal stuff. Don't worry. Oh my gosh, I've been working on some stuff. I have some things that are happening. Don't you worry. Especially any of you EC that are hanging out right now. I'm holding off telling you anything until after leader, because I don't want to confuse it. I know leader's coming up. Anyway, next. Yeah, absolutely. Challenge community partnerships. What said to make sense of a partnership? Yeah, make it let's go for let go of the ego. Yeah, look, I think partnerships, you've got to find people that you can kind of gel with, that you can trust, you can believe in, and also I think with partnerships as well, which I've learned over my years, is you've got to be. I had a conversation. It's funny. I had a conversation a couple of weeks ago with one of my partners, and I said to them, it was a newer partner, and I said to them, listen, right now we're dating, right? If we're ever going to get engaged and get married, we're going to be in a relationship for a long time. And I said, if we've got partnerships to make it work, I think you have to know you're going to go through rough patches. You're going to go through challenging times. And I think that if you're not with a partner you think is willing to go through that challenge with you and stick with you and stick by you, then you're never going to have long-term success. And that really goes into one of the most important things for me around partnerships, is you really need to find ones that you're going to have long-term success with. It's really easy to find short-term success, but those that are going to create long-term relationship. I've had some partners that I've worked with for over a decade. I've been in business now for 17 years, and I've had people that I've had relationships with for over half of that I still have relationships with, that have been extremely profitable and extremely fruitful, and they've had their ups, their downs, they've had their fuck you moments, they've had the, give me a hug moments, they've had everything in between. But those partnerships are incredibly important to your business. So you've got to find ones that you can also go through, deal with, go through the challenges with, and come out the other side as well. I hope that makes sense to you as well. All right, legends, listen, time for me to get out of a car park, because it's getting sus. Much love to you all, and have an amazing day. Look after yourselves, and I can't wait to be hanging out with you guys again soon. Have an amazing day today, Wednesday. I'll see you tomorrow, Thursday, for another Stand Together. Go kick some butt, and don't forget, share the message. Bye.